guys, welcome back to the RPMBassy. This is Mark and John counting down our top 20 vinyl records. I'm going to be jumping on first for this one. This is number 15 of 20. So my pick for this one is the album Replica by the artist Oneotrix Point Never, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Sounds good.
It's a hard one to pronounce. It might be Oneotrix Point Never or Oneotrix. Not 100% sure. Producer called Daniel Lepatin. Basically, all samples on this one, which I realise now at this point, I've been talking a lot of samples, talking a lot of ambient music, kind of seeing a pattern in my picks that I didn't sort of have in my head originally when I picked them. But yeah, this album is kind of built out of samples from 80s commercials and things like that. So he essentially just went back through like a catalogue of cassette tapes he had and just kind of picked out sounds, picked out little blips of like audio samples or vocal samples and stuff like that, and put them together into this. Used a few synthesizers here and there. Had a couple of co-producers when they went into the studio. And yeah, it's just such a moody album. In terms of like, as far as ambient music goes, I can't think of anything that really hits the spot that this one does. It's kind of half Plunderphonics, half ambient. But, you know, in the way that the Biosphere album was samples and ambient, you know, you can't really put them in the same category, even though the building blocks are very similar. This is on a different level. There's something very very depressive about it as well. It's a very, very it's hard to describe. It kind of makes you think a lot, and not necessarily of all the good things. But like the intro track, especially Andro, really, really weird sounding. It almost sounds like a vocal sample, but it's hard to put into words how that vocal sample kind of sounds. And really, the cover is kind of exactly how the song sounds in a way. But yeah, this is actually an illustration from a 1930s pulp magazine that he just picked. So it wasn't made for this. But yeah, for a piece of artwork from the 1930s with 80s commercials as the samples for an album released in 2011, like it doesn't fit in any one of those time periods. It's got such a weird flavour to it. But yeah, Andro, it opens it up. It's so dark. It's so moody. It's very, very nighttime. I could describe it as a weird way of putting it, but like it's not a daytime album. Finishing off side A is Replica, which obviously the title track of the album. That's pretty much just a piano sample the whole way through, with a few what I can either assume are like FM synthesizer bits or potentially just some sampled flute. But that one line going on and on and on again, like really, really kind of makes you sit back and kind of think about things.
Yeah, definitely something we want to listen to dark. But the cover, I mean, anything. If I come across that, I'll probably just bought it for the cover.
Yeah,
because it's almost like you can tell what kind of feel and sound the album's going to be. I love that artwork.
It's almost, in a way, it's like got kind of a soft demonic feel to it.
Have you ever played it backwards?
I haven't, but you know what? That would be a really, really good way of going about it. I did sort of see a review of it, that it's kind of like a new understanding of ambient music, and I definitely agree with that. It's separate from anything else I've listened to, and separate from anything else I've got in the top 20. But yeah, fantastic album.
Cool. Again, there's another one I'm going to have to check out. I'm sure I've seen that from a previous vinyl club. That artwork's great. So my number 15 is a classic album, and it's Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures. I'm a late comer to Joy Division. I really did not like them for a long time. I didn't quite understand what they were about. I didn't think much of the music. I thought it looked great, and I couldn't understand why people used to be like obsessed with Joy Division. And as I got older, I kind of appreciate them a lot, and I get it. I understand them more, to the point where like I'm obsessed with this album, and it's gone from like nowhere straight to number 15 of all time within like a couple of years, like instant almost. I love everything about this. It made me want to find the other bits, research obviously Factory Records. This is a reissue. This has been remastered because I did think that I did have the original, and I didn't think it wasn't too great sounding, but I think that's what they were trying to go for. And this sounds much better, a lot more separation in the instrumentation. I love every track on this album. I'm not going to pick one out because I do love this whole album. And as an album, I think it flows really well. And also a couple of facts about this. This is the only album released while Ian Curtis was still alive. Which kind of blew my mind really, because you got things like Substance, you got Closer, all the other albums. But this was the only one that was released. And obviously you got the Peter Saville artwork, which is incredible. I mean, you see this design on t-shirts every day. And I love to go up to these people and say, do you know the album that came from? And guarantee they won't know, just like we see people with the Ramones t-shirts as well. What I like about this reissue is because obviously Factory Records always did something quirky. There's a texture to this, and they've kept that on the reissue, which is brilliant. So if you haven't checked this album, I mean, everyone knows Joy Division if you have ever bought vinyl before. As I said, latecomer, but this album just blows my mind. I'm not even going to pick out a single track because this whole album just rocks, and I love it. And it's Unknown Pleasures from Joy Division. So that is our number 15. Join us for the next one, which is going to be number 14.